Everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really quickly show you how to put together a simple line graph. And this is really simple, so it could be like an ABA design. And then I'm going to do a couple more. This will be like a series of videos. So I'll do another one that kind of shows another different type of line graph. Okay, so I'll be building up on this one. So this one is showing you how to use Excel, just a really simple Excel chart. And we are also going to be looking at another way of doing them, which is with R. Okay, and R to me it's a lot easier, at least for me. But again, it could using Excel is probably might be easier for you. So either way, I mean, if you want to use R, if you want to use Excel, if you want to use some other form of system, I'm always of the of the I guess of the opinion that whatever's easier is yeah, go with that. But anyways, okay, so this is the first one: how to do a simple line line chart using Excel. So with Excel opened up, um, and also I'm using my MacBook. So if it looks a little different, like if you're using Windows and it looks different on your end, let me know and then I can help. Well, I can walk you through it if it just doesn't work for you. Okay, so right here I have just a sheet, a simple spreadsheet that's open, right? So the first thing we're going to do is across the top. So we have our first row, and when I say row, so that way we are all on the same language. So a row is they go horizontal. Okay, so these are rows. Okay, and these are basic data data terms. Okay, so if you're into data science and looking at data, okay, so these are the rows. These going vertically are the columns. Okay, so in data science, each column is a variable. Okay, each column is a variable, and then each row is a case. So for us, when we're looking at behavior research, each column it is it can be looked as like as a variable, and each row can be thought of as an occurrence. Okay, since we're looking at behavior across time, this is an occurrence, whether it's like a day or a week or a month, however often you do it, or maybe even by minute. If you're taking data minute by minute, right, you could do something like that. So this is an occurrence. Each one of these is an occurrence, and then vertically it's a variable. Okay, so now, okay, that being said, the first thing we have to do is, since this is just a simple ABA design, we have just one participant. It's not going to get too fancy. What you want to do first is on the first row, and actually in cell B1, so B1, this one right here, we're going to put the student's name. So I'm just going to use student 1 as the name. Okay, so that's the first thing we do. Now across in column, actually in cell A2, the first thing we want to do is we want to indicate that this is a baseline. Okay, so this is going to tell us visually what data it is that we're looking at. Okay, so now the next thing is just starting to input data. So let's say, for example, we had a student and on the first occurrence, let's say we're measuring the number of times he asks for help. Okay, so this is just baseline on a typical day. So on day 1, he asked for help once, and then the second day, he asked for help twice, and then on third day he asked for help once, and then on the fourth day he didn't ask for help, and then on the fifth day he asked for help twice. Okay, so this is our baseline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is week 1, let's say. So now we have an intervention. Okay, so we're gonna start up our intervention. So I'm gonna say intervention, whatever it is that's gonna get him to ask for help a little bit more. And so here on day 6, maybe he asked for help twice, and then we start prompting him and he starts to use his strategy. So he asked for help 3 times, and then he asked for help on Wednesday 4 times, and then on Thursday he asked for help 5 times, and then on Friday he asked for help 7 times. Okay, so now this is 5 days of intervention, and so now we're gonna go back to, we're gonna take away the intervention, whatever it was. Maybe it was like a card that we had set on his desk to remind him to ask for help. So now in the third week, we're gonna go back to baseline. So I'm gonna say baseline. This is the second baseline. And so we take away the card. So when we take away the card, then on Monday, maybe he asked for help 4 times, and then on Tuesday 3, and then on Wednesday twice, and then on Thursday maybe twice again, and then on Friday he asked 2 times again. All right, so then this is our third week. So now we have our data. We're done with our study. Now we want to look at it. Okay, so what we can do right now is we can actually just highlight all the data, every single one of it, and then we can go to insert, and then from insert we have this option right here to insert a line graph. So I'm going to click that down, and then I'm going to pick this fourth one right here. That's the one that says line with markers, because I want the little dots and all that, all that fancy stuff to show up. So as soon as I click that, just as quick and as simple as that, now we have a line chart. Okay, so now this doesn't necessarily look like what we're used to, so we need to clean it up a little bit. So for example, the first thing that I notice right off the bat is that our data paths, they have to have those breakpoints between each phase. So like between the baseline phase and the intervention phase, there has to be a break. Okay, so to create a break, what we can do is we have to put a space between the last baseline and the introduction of the next phase. Okay, so one way that you can do it is you can just click on the number 7 and it highlights the whole row, and then you can right click and then insert, and then it automatically pushes the data down. So that having that empty cell right here created the break that we're looking for. So I'm going to do it again for this one. So I'm going to click right here, right click, insert. So now we have another break. So now it broke. So now this looks a little bit better. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is maybe I want to give it a title. Well, let's see if we even, okay, let's worry about that in a little bit. Okay, the next thing is with line graphs, usually we don't have these horizontal lines. So to get rid of them, you just tap on any one of them. You put the cursor right on top of them. Actually, let me zoom in. So I'm going to put the cursor right here on the number 5 line. And then as soon as I click on it one time, I get the little blue dots. So that means all the lines are selected. So now I just hit delete, and then the lines go away. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is, I really don't like the blue color, and by convention, everything has to be black and white. You don't color anything. You don't do any of that stuff. And the reason why they do that is because of the typesetting. Whenever you do print, black and white is the best way to go, because if you have maybe something that's yellow, it might not print, and then the data will start to get messed up, right? So to change the color of these, just tap on the line anywhere, and then you see how they get the little dots, and those are highlighted. Okay, so once you do that, and I'm going to zoom, actually I'm going to zoom out of it. Let me, Excel, you don't want to work with me. Okay, yeah, there it goes. All right, so it just caught up. Okay, so again, I'm going to tap right on the line. Okay, so then it highlights the line. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, usually what happens is whenever you tap on the lines, some options pop up right here that you can start to change the formatting of it. But for some reason it's not doing it. Okay, there you go. I had to double click on it. Okay, so when I double clicked on it, the window opened up, but if you can tell, only one data point was selected, but I want the whole line to be selected. So I'm just going to click on the line again. Let me click out of it. Okay, I'm going to click on the line. Okay, now everything's selected. Okay, that's what I wanted. So everything is selected. So again, my intent was to make this black. So I'm going to hit the little paint bucket icon. And then here I have, let me minimize this so you can see what we got. Here I have line, and that's what's selected. And then next to it I have marker. Okay, but for now I'm going to work with the line. Okay, so the line, and then the only other thing I have underneath it is this one right here, this option that says line. So I'm going to drop down the caret, and then here I could change, so it defaults to automatic, and then here's that blue color, the blue of the line. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. I'm going to make it black. Okay, so it changed the line black. So the little markers though are still blue. Okay, so I'm going to click on the line again. And so now that's where I'm going to go back into the paint bucket. I'm going to click on marker. And so now since I'm on marker, there's a couple of things I can do here. So it defaulted to the border, and that's okay because the border is blue right now. So I'm going to click this, I'm going to do black. So now the border is black. But then if I click, the markers are still blue. So now I'm going to click on it one more time. Paint bucket. Now, and then I'm going to click on marker because we're working with the marker. So we already took care of the border. What I'm looking towards now is the fill. So the fill is automatic and it's blue. So I'm going to drop that. Now it's black. So I click out of it. Okay, so now it's black. Now the one thing that I do notice is like the numbers are kind of gray right now. So I can actually change that too just by clicking on any one of the numbers in the legend. So this pops up. I'm going to click on the paint bucket. It's automatic. I'm going to click on the paint bucket here. Select black. And so now they're black. Well, actually, that was the background. I didn't want that. Paint bucket. I'm going to put no fill. What I needed was not the fill. Oh, that's what's going on. Right now it says axis options. I want text options. The text is what I want. So text fill, solid fill, black. Okay, so now my numbers are black. The vertical line, that I can come back in here and change the color to and make them solid fill gray. Actually, that's the background of the numbers. Here's line. So the line right now it's gray, black. Okay, so now the line is black. Okay, so that just looks better. And then this one's the same way. I click on it, text option. I change that from gray to black. Okay, so now these pop up even more clear. Same thing with the title. That text options. I change that from gray to black. Okay, so now the title is darker. Okay, so we're almost there to what I wanted to look. Now the other thing, if you did want it to, instead of going from 0, well no, this is okay because it increments by 1, which is good. This way down here too, it increments by 1. That's okay. Now the next thing is I have to put our phase lines. So this is where it gets kind of weird and we have to do a workaround. So to create the phase lines, so for example, this right here is baseline, this is intervention, and then this is baseline again. What we have to do is we have to manually create those phase lines. So to do that, I'll just go to draw, and then actually, you know what? I'm going to insert a shape instead. Yeah, I'm going to go to insert. Okay, and then I'm going to go to shapes, and then I'm going to insert a line. Okay, so now we have these crosshairs. The cursor turned into crosshairs. So I'm going to start here, and then I hold down my left button, and then I'm just going to drag it down to approximately right on that horizontal line on the x-axis. Okay, so here's our line, and then I have to just kind of eyeball it to try to get it perfectly perpendicular. I think that's about Well, it looks like it's a little bit more to the right, but anyways, this is where it starts to get a little tedious. Okay, so now the other thing too is it's also blue and then it's also kind of thin. So to change that, I click on it once, so, and I know it's selected because I got the green little dots on the left side. I click on this, right? This is the line color. I'm going to make it black. And so now the other thing too, oh, since I'm here, this tells me that's the width. Right now it's 0.5. So I'm just going to increase it until it looks the thickness that I want, and that's pretty good, 1.75. And I'm going to click out of it, and that's okay. And it looks like it passed a little bit on the bottom, so then I can just click on it and then raise it up a little bit, and kind of tweak it to where it's exactly how I want it, and then probably even straighten it out a little bit more. Okay, so now that's our first phase line. Now the second one, since I already have this one that looks kind of how I want it, I can just click on it once, Control C to copy it, and then Control V to paste the second one. And so now I just drag our second phase line. Okay, so there it is. Now I got two phase lines. The next thing I want to do, just position this. I'm actually going to put this one right on the 6. And then this one I'm going to put right on top of that 12. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is we have to label. So this is our baseline, intervention baseline. So to insert labels, I'm going to go to Insert on the top, and then I'm going to hit the text box right here. So I'm going to hit text box, and then I'm going to, it turns into this arrow looking cursor. So I'm going to click right here. It gives us a box. So then I'm going to type in baseline. Okay, so there's our first label, baseline. And so now again, I'm going to do just like the lines. I'm going to click once to where it's all selected. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. I want to drag it right over here. Control V again. I'm going to move this one over here. And so now I'm going to change it. So to change it, I'm just going to double click inside, and then I'm going to call this intervention. And this one is a return to baseline. And if you wanted to do, baseline 2 or call it something else, you can do that, but I'm going to leave it just like that. And then if you wanted to, again, move them, like maybe if you wanted to center it, you could do that also. Kind of just freehand it. Okay, so there you go. So now we're done with the labels. And then the last thing is giving it a title. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. One way is just double clicking inside of it, and then you can change that. So you can call this behavior data for student 1, whatever you want to call it. So then there's our label. And then again, you can just drag and put it, center it wherever you need to. And then the last thing is you want to label your access to, oh, and then this one doesn't have access or a line, right? So to do a line, double click on the numbers. I had to click once to select it. Okay, so then double click on the numbers. Come on. I might have to zoom into it just so it knows what I wanted to do. Oh yeah, I had to just zoom into it. Okay, so when I double click on it, it selects the numbers, right? The ones that are vertical. And then over here on the right side, I have this access options. So right now it's automatic. I'm going to give it a solid line, and then it's black, and then here's the size of it, 0.75. I'm going to leave it like that. So now we have the line, and then the other thing too is the tick marks. I'm going to click on it again one time so it's selected. If I keep scrolling down, let's see, where is it in the text options? Nope, it's in the access options. Here it is. Okay, cap line. Okay, that's just the line. Let's see, fill. Yes, shadow, we don't want to mess with that. Alignment. Oh, here it is. So it's in this this bar histogram looking icon. Okay, so here you have tick marks. So you want major, type, and you can put them on the inside or on the outside. And outside, I think, is by convention how they go. Okay, and then the same thing for the ones on the bottom. So I just click once on any one of these numbers on the bottom, and then since I'm already in this area, I'm going to do outside. Okay, so now we have our tick marks. And I think that is it for a simple line graph. Yeah, I think that's it. And then you can change like the size of the text and to make it more fancy if you wanted to do that. But that's pretty much the basics. Again, like these are, you can mess with these so that way it sits right in the center, and you can position it wherever you want. Whenever you're zoomed in, it's kind of easier to manipulate. And then also the tick marks. So like here the tick marks are, the number is in between, but usually the tick mark falls right on top of the number. So to do that, I clicked once on the number, and then I'm going to click on that one, tick marks. So you want the interval between marks. Let's see, access options right here on tick marks. So now that's where the tick mark is actually on the number, and that's, I think, by convention, that's how we're supposed to have it. So then now I can move the line exactly where I needed it. Okay, and then you could do the same for these over here. Oh, actually, yeah, it moved them automatically. So now the tick marks are exactly on the number. And yeah, that's it. We are done. So this is our line graph. Now the good thing about doing this way is that if our data changes, the lines will change automatically too. So like let's say our intervention, maybe this was a 5 and then this was a 6. See how the lines will change automatically. Not that you would want to do that, because then that looks like you're manipulating data, but you could do that. And if you wanted to continue, like maybe now you're returning to intervention. Okay, intervention, and then this one went back up 7, 8, 9. Okay, then you would want a fourth one, which means that if I click on our data, you see how it's just using data up to here? Well, then I can just drag this down to here now, and then it's going to include that data automatically. Now the thing that I have to do though is now because it gives us 4, right? This is baseline, intervention, baseline, then intervention again. I'm going to have to move the lines, these phase lines that I put on here, and then plus the labels. And then I'm going to have to add another, so I'm going to click on the line, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Okay, so now I have another here, and then since this is an intervention, I'm just going to click on it once, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and then just move it over here. So that now we have our 4 phases. And then again, you could clean these up. I'm gonna see if I can do it with. Is it not letting me? Okay, so sometimes whenever you select the different text boxes, and I don't know why it's not letting me do this 4th one. But so when you select those up here on the top, you can go to shape format, and then there's a tool here, right here, this align one, and then you can align them distribute vertically. I think what I want to do is I want to align. Is it this one? You know, I distributed them. It distributed them vertically, but there it goes. That kind of aligned them. Align middle. So now they're all the same. Okay, so all right, this is the first little video. This is just a really fast way to make a simple line graph that has multiple phases. So here we went from A to B, back to A, and then to B.